Good morning, everyone. Who was patient enough to join? Ah, oh, Anastasia is fine. Okay. And well, we have a short class today um, because of the technical issues. So first of all, well, perhaps do you all have mics? Uh, okay, hello, Anastasia. So you all have mics, and you can use also microphones when uh, when when you will reply to. So I actually would like to ask you how your group assignments going on, and what have you learned from the last assignment about the idea you're creating. So who wants to start? Uh, Henry, let's.
Yeah, look, I
Yeah,
can start.
yeah. Thank you.
So our team has done a great job. I think we are on time with all canvases
Yeah.
so far. Last time we did this like interviewing of different customer groups.
I like the design, by the way. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's thumbs up to Claudia
Yeah, thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Uh, so yeah, we did this canvas, which you can see
Yeah, on the
here
screen.
last, and also some.
Yeah, could you please tell about the last one? So, what have you learned from the to whom did you talk to, and what have you learned from them here about your idea and how your idea changed during the process, if it changed during the communication with your clients, potential clients.
Yeah. So in reality, we of course were talking to some imaginary persons, but in bulk of the task, we were talking to our like potential customers and uh, people interested in this kind of business and solutions.
So,
Uh,
may I ask you? I just didn't get. So you did talk to the real people, or you just
no, no, we didn't talk to real people.
okay? You will have to redo your assignment. So the main point is here is you to talk to at least some of actual potential clients of your idea, and to talk about to do this
Oh,
assignment.
really?
Yeah, so you will have to reach because that this is like what we were talking in the class, so you have to and that's you are also replying to this kind of question. You have to, in order to do a good product, you need to talk to actual clients. So you will have to, and we discussed that, so you have to talk to the like it's not completely redo, because you did quite nice job here. You again grouped your potential clients, like Carol individuals, farm area, and stuff like that. So um, pick some categories. For instance, like potential clients who purchase farm products. You can ask your parents, you can ask your friends, maybe teachers, some who purchase this kind of farm products. And you can also talk to two or three farmers. I don't think it will be hard to find in the internet, and you can just easily, or LinkedIn, and you can easily contact them and reach them, like two or three of them. And same amount, like 5 or 6 people who are actually buying farm products, and to talk about your idea and to ask those kind of questions which are related, if you see my mouth on this kind of upper in section A. So yeah, please do that, because
Okay, we will.
yeah, otherwise it will lose all sense, and like you will not get some sense of the because I saw some your assignments and your other group assignments, and they seems that they actually talked to actual people, and we will, and that's why I wanted to discuss that, this kind of, yeah, topics. Okay, so please talk to actual users and make another one. So this one looks good. So you put an again from your imaginary clients, so from your imagination. But now put here another one. What kind of information you get from the real clients? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Just
Yeah.
on my mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank. That's good. Uh, all right. Hello everyone who's again joined us, and we will continue with further assignments. Uh, so let me see. Uh, no, 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 it's not in here. I saw it somewhere. This is one. Anastasia, where is your assignment? I am trying to find it, like your group group assignment.
Which one is that?
Sorry, cannot understand. Individual assignment, but the group assignment. I saw it somewhere.
Maxim.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You can hear me.
Yes.
So, based on what you talked with Generic, we need to do the assignment all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. So one question is that how we can talk to people if we need to be at home right now? Are we going to send some emails? And then we need to know if those particular individuals will be interesting in our idea, and as well if they are potential customers.
Yeah, this is a good question actually. So let me answer this one. Inside. Okay.
That's why we made like that, like kind of like imaginary customers and segmentations, because we know that those individuals will be the most interested in our like future service that
Yeah,
we could bring to
because
them.
what you this is good, and what you actually do is the customer grouping. Like the previous assignment, you did it once
Yeah.
again, in a way, right? But
Mm-hmm.
here the main idea is like if you go to this upper section, the main idea is to talk to actual potential customers. So here's an example of
Yeah, I have read it.
yeah, and the idea is, yes, you find an actual potential customer, for example a farmer, which can be on one side of your customer of your product, and the potential client, which on the other side, potential client who is actually buying, like, not from Prisma but also using this kind of farm shops or farm products. So how to reach them? Well, clients is relatively easy, so they're amongst your friends and your parents' friends, and you can just talk to someone who is actually buying that. Another way is to go to, for instance, Facebook, and find some groups where they have this kind of groups for farming and stuff like that, and you can reach via Facebook and ask if they can spare like 10 to 15 minutes of their time to talk to you. Maybe like just say, can you spare 5-10 minutes? We have this kind of crazy assignment from the uh, crazy teacher, and you can just you know ask them this kind of questions. So that will help a lot. It is very helpful because it gives you a real sense of finding your customer and talking to your customers and understanding whether your idea is actually valuable or not. So do it over phone or WhatsApp call, or, well, Skype doesn't work that well, as we found out, but yeah, some sort of via phone, phone call and just telegram call, for instance, if they hesitate to give you a real phone number, so you can just use some ID. You can also call in Facebook Messenger now also supports phone calls, so it's well, I think it won't be that of a problem for you. So just a few. So here is like 2 or 3 farmers and 2 or 3
Okay. Few farmers, few like
yeah.
potential customers. What will be the new deadline for us then?
Sorry, can you repeat please?
Ah, when will be our new deadline then?
Well, you will have to do it during the week again, and they will be like, and you will be able to do it in parallel with a new assignment, because new assignment is based on what you will learn from your customers. So it will appear here soon. I don't know why it's blank. Yeah, the new is ideation, so it will be based on what you've learned from your customers, and before you do that, the next assignment you will have to do the previous one, which is really important. And
Yeah, sure. No
the
problem.
importance of that it really might change, and likely it will change your initial idea of what you think of your product and of your idea
Mm.
towards what actually customers think, your potential customers think of the idea. And I think on the example of another group, and I invite participants of another group, it's to talk about that. It's Anastasia, Simon, or Arno. So any one of you, please, could you please tell a few words of your assignment here?
Yes, I can represent my team.
Yes.
So we asked 5 people that are our friends or acquaintances. So we've got uh, our results. So uh, the results differ according to gender, surprisingly, and mostly girls want our product, the power bank, more colorful and thin and lightweighted, and they care about the capacity, but not so much as uh, men do. And we've got interesting ideas to implement in our product, and I think without this task we could miss some features that could be added to the product, and I think it's a great task for revealing things you can't make up yourself. Yeah, so the the best idea that we figure out from the whole task is that uh, the product is uh, the product should be of multi-functions and not consistent of only one function, and people need something else in the product we do. And so uh, that's the main feature I think we got from this canvas. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Um, Thank you very much for that. And this is actually the initial purpose of this assignment, and I really like what you told about the conclusion you have had. So, and just in case of scalability, just imagine if you so you ask like 5 people. Yes, anyone have a question, or I thought I hear something, but all right. So like you just ask 5 people, but imagine if you like ask 50 people, so you got more data of how, if you would do it in actual product. So you would ask 50 people and you will clearly see the patterns of the answers, so you clearly would see the actual demand of the device which people needs. So that's the main idea. So we cannot do 50 interviews in 1 week, but if that would be an actual case, so that what you actually need to do, but to get a real sense. So that was a good example, so thank you very much for that. I think I haven't seen anyone else's assignment number 5, so I'm still looking forward to see that, and that was interesting to see these 2 examples, so thank you very much for what you did. And looking forward to seeing others on that. Okay, so for the next time you will have to do ideation. So those who haven't completed the previous ones, so please complete them, and please complete this customer interview. I think it will not take that much long time, and this kind of ideation you will do based on what you've learned from your customers. The important thing here I would like to emphasize is that you put here in ideation, you will read the assignment, but once again I want to emphasize that you have to do brainstorming of the ideas to the whole to the problem. So put the problem like on the very high level. For instance, backup battery device is just should be like how to solve energy battery problem for your phone, for your portable device. So it shouldn't be like because battery pack is already a solution for that, but there could be like different solutions. For instance, farming food. So you're solving actually like a higher level problem, like of delivery of high quality organic food to the customers, and on the other hand delivering demand for the farm business. So try to put your problem at the very high level, and then to look for the brainstorm within your team or with your friends if you're working alone. So ask your friends to participate and brainstorm ideas for this high level problem you are trying to solve. And based on what you've learned from your customer interview, you will segment here with the ideas with the positive and negative, so impact on your customers. Alright, let's go briefly through what I wanted to talk to you about the class. So we discussed a little bit of assignments, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Do you have any questions so far? So I wait for a couple of seconds, but if you have, just turn on your mic on and ask me some questions, whether about assignments or the class topic. Alright, so seeking for the ideas, and that also correlates with your next practical assignment and what we are doing. So the ideas actually doesn't have to be something big or important, and it can start very small, but the ideas should start with the problem. So the actual problem here is people often trying to solve unexisted problems. So they come up with the idea and they think this idea is cool and they try to build a product, but no one actually see the problem that product can solve. So start with the problem, not with the idea, and you have sort of turned your mind into noticing problems. There are lots of unsolved problems, and this is a very much mistaken conclusion that everything already solved. So as you can see, and as you have come up with new ideas, not at all the ideas are solved. And the best way is to come up with the idea you need yourself. So that's how you understand that there is actual need, and find others who need that. So when you want to actually come up with a good solution, you have first brainstorm the problems, not the solutions for that. And of course, talk to your potential clients. That was the last assignment was all about, to understand your clients and if this idea actually exists for them. So what make a good idea to be good? Mm. So you have to have a precise and specific answer. What do you do and why do you do that? Who actually needs this? And that's you identify by only by talking to your potential customers. Think of the market size not only today, like how big the farming market is today, but you have to think how rapidly it is growing. So will it be the big market in 10 years? A likely farming business should be, because for instance it tends to be the tendency in organic food consumption, so people want to eat healthier food, and they want to they also want to for example to support local producers of a healthy food. So think of the market size not only today, but how rapidly it is growing. For instance, when iPhone was released, so the application of mobile application market was very small, but it was really rapidly growing market. So anyone who entered this very small market, um, they become a huge business in 2-3 years because of the market growth. I would say as a parallel, for instance, when you play football, so you always want to be where the ball will be. So you are coming onto the trajectory of the ball, and not where the ball is right now. So the same is about markets. It's not always about how big market is today, and I want to emphasize that, because even investors very often mislead here. They look at the market size of today, but they don't think of how it will improve in the future. So of course you will have to understand why you can solve this problem, whether you have very highly passionate about the problem, or you have specific knowledge how to solve this problem. Again, why now? Why now is the best time? Whether it's new law has been established, or there is new technological shift is going on right now, which allows this kind of problem to be solved in more efficient way. For instance, we will be talking in an example. We will be talking about this kind of boom technology company, and boom technologies, they build the supersonic jets. There was a Concorde case where they were trying to build aircraft which flies twice the speed of the existing ones. But the technology wasn't good enough back to those days. But nowadays, airplane technology has been very rapidly growing. So it allows boom technologies now to build supersonic jets, the jets who flies on really high speeds, and make it affordable to mass market. So you have to understand how others try to solve it. So whether the problem is real and it's really painful, or like it's just some incremental solution which is not an actual problem at all. Because what you actually want to do is to make your product 10 times better, at least 10 times better than the nearest existing competitor, or it should be completely new. Same example with iPhone. When mobile phones were existing, they were very poor with technology, but iPhone made phone actually 10 times better than it used to be. I would encourage, if you might, some of you to block the phone, to block the microphone, we will be able to focus here. Thank you. Um, and don't be afraid of the competition or critics. Because many of people will be saying that your idea is worthless, especially if they are not your potential customers. So listen to your potential customers, not to the criticism of your bosses or peers or even teachers, because sometimes they might be right, but the only way to test it is just to check it out, just to try this idea out. I wanted to put some examples here. Uh, 1 watt, for instance, they are doing AI uh, maintenance prevention solution for electromotors or on the factories. There are lots of electric motors, and they always run out of service very suddenly, so no one expects that. So and the whole line stops, and this is a big problem for the factories. But they created this kind of artificial intelligence and machine learning which analyze the solution, the sound of the rotation of the motor, and it helps to prevent them before they broke down. Boom technologies we already touched. Um, High turbine efficiency. There is one startup with PhD students who are working on improving turbine efficiency for gas turbines or airplane turbines. And the thing is here that if they want to improve it at least 5%, but this is a huge step forward. Now energy sector is fighting for 0 point some percent of higher efficiency, and they're doing it right now. And actually, this is one of them who are working on that right now in our accelerator, as well as rare earth metals. The rare earth metals, they are now mainly uh, mainly done by China. So this is kind of monopoly, and they're trying to use technology um, to make these rare earth metals available um, for different markets as well. Another example here, I wanted to put how um, how the knowledge-based idea can go into something totally different. There was a doctor who wrote his PhD about how to prevent veins with the blood in our body from being damaged by the different processes of blood circulation. And it turned to be that the same physics applied to the pipelines and with water or oil, and he was able to solve lots of problems with damaging the pipelines. So this is a good example of how you can apply your current knowledge in totally different area, and the best way to do that is to actually combine 2 or 3 fields together. For instance, as 1 watt did. One of them is it's actually currently operating a startup. I met them during Y Combinator startup school, and they one of the guys electrical engineering guy, and another one is from artificial intelligence. So they created this solution in cross section of 2 areas. And such startup as Lenses for Dyslexia, they created this kind of solution for kids who suffering this dyslexia problems, because nowadays it's kind of big problems and no one know how to solve that. So this is kind of also startup from it's all of those are example of sort of innovative R&D startups, not just application for your mobile phone, but actually hard tech startups, and we will be talking about that in a minute. Uh, it's saying that we have remaining time. Okay, let's see how it goes. Um, it's actually a little bit harder to go um, with the online version, but yeah. So how do you create a solution for a problem? Um, I wish I could see all of you. So you have to identify the industry and become an expert there, and you don't have to go to actually to study machine learning or industrial electronics. You can actually just briefly touch this kind of knowledge and acquire this kind of knowledge during the online courses. Customer segment. Who is your client? Go to your clients and to understand them, and have a clear vision in your mind. What is the perfect customer experience from finding you to in the internet to get your service or your product, to using your product, and then to receiving customer support and customer experience. So make sure you have a clear vision of that in your mind before you start. Alright, so making a good product. Uh, how do you create out of the idea an actual valuable product? So you kind of have to have this kind of by the way, I think our time of this kind of session will end up quite soon, so don't I haven't been using it before, but I will try to uh, restart a new conference, and I hope it will work. So when time stops, I will try to set up a new conference call, so we will have another half hour to complete our class. So I will send you again in all the messengers in WhatsApp, in Facebook, or if you can all go to Facebook, I will just put it in here. Would it be all right? So I just put here a link for a new one, so we can all go. Okay, so let's get back to how do we make a product good. Um, yeah, so be as close to your clients as possible. And so you have to talk to your customers personally, and I think we were touching that before. So just don't hire any salesperson, and talk to your customers as much as possible. Receive the feedback and improve your product. The same as you did with the this power bank device. So you talk to your customers, you understand new features, what they actually need, and now you can reinvent them in your product. So then you receive another feedback, and then how it goes. Um, and make sure you break down product development process into a small pieces. Don't try to solve the whole problem at once. Make your minimum viable product as soon as possible. It may even be a website where you will receive whether the customers are interested in it or not, or it can be a blog, so you see the traction of people's attention to your product. And make sure the positioning of your product, explaining what this product does and how you position your product to the market, is actually very simple. So the simpler it is, the better. Uh, because if you're trying to make it it's very complex, and here's those technologies are actually very complex, but you can explain them in a very in a couple of sentences which will be understood for non-professional from the area. Make sure you do that. Okay, so what are the criteria of a good product? Uh, First of all, people actually excited about your product, and then so they use it more than just once. Like for instance, VR product. This is a really cool product, but people unfortunately don't use it. Consumers don't use it like rarely use it more than just once a month. So it's very rare, and you want your farm products to be consumed like every day. Okay. Okay, so we continue, right? So no one else, everyone's hearing me. So yeah, and you sort of identify that your product is good, that people who are using it, they're actually excited about that, and they spontaneously recommend it to others. That's how your actually organic growth is going on. So you just spontaneously recommend your friends, and your friends will hear it from someone else, and you probably have heard it of someone else. This is a good sign of a good product, actually. So you don't waste your money on the campaign, on the PR campaign or marketing, but actually people spontaneously tells their friends about this. Another good criteria that clients will actually be upset if your product disappear. For instance, if we get used to fly with the supersonic jets, and we fly really actually fast, we fly for instance from Beijing to Tampere, we can fly in 3 hours. So, and if this kind of convenience disappear, we will be well, that would be really sad to me at least, because I would prefer to do a shorter version of flights, and as most of us. Or if lenses for the 6 year will disappear, so lots of kids and most of all their parents will be very much upset, because so far it's one of the actually working solution for that. So another thing is that it has to be breakthrough. It has to be whether 10 times better, or total, or something totally new which doesn't exist in this kind of area. And this should be a total breakthrough for the clients, not only from the technology point of view, not only from your innovation point of view, but actually it should be valuable for the clients. Yeah, and if you are selling to other businesses, and B2B sales, business to business is much harder, so you can, but you should at least have 10 clients, and if you don't have 10 clients in the very beginning, so it's kind of a bad sign for you, whether you cannot reach the clients, but likely you just haven't built actually people love and would like to use. I want to, since this is like a startup school for innovation, and innovation means solving a really big and immense problems. They might be not that big, because dyslexia, for instance, doesn't look that big as, for instance, um, as building supersonic aircrafts. But it's still very essential, and it's hard to build. Um, but in today's reality, as Sam Altman, for instance, mentioned, it's much easier to start a hard company rather than an easy one. Why is it so? Uh, my answer to that would be this interaction, can someone tell me why do you think it's Sam is actually right in here, and why do you think it's wrong? So why it's easier to start a company who is going to Mars rather than company who is making online sales like a third version of Amazon, for instance? Can someone switch on the mic and speak to us? Simeon, can I please ask you to, if you're still with us, to explain what you think of that?
Uh, yes, sure.
Thank you.
Oh, uh, very hard company. Uh, Actually, can't say exactly why so. Uh, but maybe uh, things that are complicated uh, have something to improve, and you can have a long running company. And in case of some simple solutions company where you solve only one problem, you can rely only like 5 years plan, and then your company will just ruin, and that's it, you are over. But when you have something to solve constantly, you will run your company forever and be like competitive on the market.
Thank you. This is actually a very good one, and this is actually what Sam is good at as well. This kind of strategic thinking. So when you think on the long term and you're solving a really big problem, so on the very long run, your company can survive not just 5 to 10 years, but half century or even more. So thank you for that. I actually haven't thought about that myself. So, can anyone else? Sylvie, can you say us?
Yeah,
Hi, thanks.
uh, I think easy company will be have more competitors than hard company because they have lower entries. Mm, that's my idea.
This is actually what I had in mind, so thank you for this one. Because actually this is true. The normally the easy company is easy to start, and even if you solve some different problem, the competition will be actually very fast, very high, because it's not that hard to make this sort of company, and to make company with the immense technology is actually requires lots of skills and lots of time. So it will be really hard to replicate and duplicate that kind of business. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Thank you. Who else want to say us? Anna, can you say something to us about that? What you think?
I also thinking about the competition that easy company has bigger competition and hard companies could resolve many problems. So there will be a lives like longer. I was thinking about competition.
Actually, I very much like how it correlates this kind of strategic thinking and competition. But you can also add here as well, and thank you for this recap, because it's actually correlates both of them, this kind of long-term thinking and this kind of correlation with the with aiming for solving immense problem and big problem with the monopoly. You actually will have almost zero competition ahead. But you will also, when you're solving an actually important problem, this is and big ambitious problem, you're easier to acquire highly talented, ambitious people who are willing to help you. It's easier to acquire customers, because they actually willing to do anything they can to help you to actually make this happen. And you receive enormous when you solve actually important problem, no matter how big it is, you actually can get lots and lots of help from the experts in the area. And also it's much easier how um, actually counterintuitive it seems it's much easier to get an investment from the actually valuable investors, because they will tend to invest in companies who actually create value, because it's also about their reputation, where their money goes, and also about their ambitions. So because when people say about investors, they ask like not how many successful companies they invested, or how many companies they invested that failed, but they actually identify a good investor by those who invested in Facebook or in Google, or in for instance, such companies like Boom Technologies, or some biotech companies solving actually important problem. So in these kind of cases, from competition, from acquiring talents and capital for your business, that's what he actually meant here. And how to make progress with hard tech product. So if you build a hard tech engineering or a scientific research product, so you don't have to do like anything at once. So start with a small piece, make some sort of prototype, or make a simulation which work on your PC, and or launch a simplified version where the just a website, or website meaning like sort of explaining what you do, your research paper on that, your simulation, your customer interviews that customers actually have this problem. And uh, proof of concept is something when you go to potential customers and talk to them. So proof of concept, even when you don't have the working version of your product, you still can go to your customers and ask in what kind of frame they would like to have this kind of problem solved, and you understand whether your concept works or not. And then you can actually sell it before even launch. So it's sort of if you can do that, if you can do pre-sale, for instance, online through your website, to get pre-orders like Tesla did, for instance, or like make a crowdfunding. Does anyone know what crowdfunding is? For those who doesn't, crowdfunding is some sort of platforms where people put their ideas, and other people like crowd can put some money like it's like buying the stocks of non-existing company. So I put $1,000 or euros in the company, and I receive an equal proportion of the whole money that the company needed to gather through this round. And if you are able to make this kind of sort of crowdfunding or online pre-sales, or if this is like business to business, so you can get a letter of intent. Letter of intent, it's actually not that easy to get, and I will briefly tell what it is. It's actually a very useful tool when you make a B2B product, and highly sophisticated and deep technology product, which is not this kind of hard tech company. So when you need to understand whether there is a market, you can make this kind of letter of intent. It's basically agreement without any obligations. So from the law point of view, like from the legal point of view, it has no obligations to a customer, but since when you do it as specific as possible, they actually have to sign that. So they kind of take it serious. People always take serious something they need to sign or put their stamp on of their company. And if you make it really detailed of how many pieces they will purchase, on which price, when they will purchase, and how often, and what kind of specification of the product they need. So you list all this on this official agreement. It's there is no obligations for them. So, but with this kind of agreement, you can go to investors and you have like 10 or like or something of such agreements. It's clearly understand that this sort of specification of your product is actually needed for this kind of price and for this many of companies you go. So this kind of letter of intent is actually a very essential tool to promote your really hard tech product to investors and to get the fundings and also your customers, because when you do that you can get back to those clients and with very high probability they will actually buy that because they already have like sort of unsigned obligation in their minds to you because you're building something actually for them. Fundraising for tech, hard tech companies is actually hard because if you can start your mobile phone application with only like couple of €1,000 on your pocket, you actually can build an MVP for online shop or online web service application or mobile phone application in really short time with very low capital. But to make a supersonic jet, to make a new medicine product or to make a new biological product, you actually need some sort of big amount of investment. But if you go to the investment and say, okay, I have this kind of brilliant idea and I need this amount of money, well, this is a very bad strategy to go with. So just try to remember that. What you actually need, how actually you can solve that? Can anyone tell me? Claudia, can you please tell us how would you solve this kind of problem?
What kind of problem, sorry?
How would you make this kind of fundraising for hard tech product more suitable? Not just coming and asking for 50 million euros at once for the idea, but how would you do that?
First, at least finding out the break-even point of my future product, and then as well making a budget plan in
Mm-hmm.
order to know how to ask and how many uh, like products I will need in order to be like successful. And as well, I will find all kind of like financial type of statements uh, from other companies in order to know to whom I could ask for investment.
Thank you. So this actually brings us to the business plan. So you have to make sort of project with a certain milestones which you will reach and uh, for instance, in the first step you do simulation and that requires this amount of capital and I will do this in this amount of time and then I will do some prototype and this requires this time this amount of money and actually what you will see here is that you don't need the full amount of money simultaneously but you need some amount of money for the first step and you go and ask for this certain amount of money. You have the whole plan here, as Claudia just said to us, and then you just break it down and ask for a certain step of investment uh, to achieve this goal. Then you do that and say, hey, I achieved this kind of goal. Now for the simulation for next step, I need second round of investment. Now I need to make a prototype and to make a proof of concept that it actually works on the real cases and I need this amount of investment. But each step gives you closer and that's actually how all the hard tech companies works. That's how Boom Technologies fundraise. So they started with this kind of steps and that's how all the That's what I advise for this kind of hard tech companies like this gas turbine company. So because in the very beginning they had this kind of strategy. They estimated how they would make the whole production and whole industrial service for the gas turbine factories, and they asked for this amount of money, and the answer was likely no. Like no one said yes to them, so they were like for a year or two they were looking for the funds, and but as obvious it sounds, it somehow doesn't appear that obvious that you need to do step by step. Now they are proving this kind of approach, so now they kind of make a simulation, and then they will be making a prototype, but with already a good amount of simulation and received money. So that also being this kind of credibility of your process, and uh, and business planning process, as Claudia mentioned, this kind of project plan. Well, the different names, but idea is the same. So you need to make this kind of milestones. You need to analyze your market, and we will be talking that in our next classes. All right. So do we have any questions? Because we were actually quite fast.
And maybe old-fashioned way go to the government to ask money. Probably this is like 1%, but still probably exists.
Thank you very much for this comment. This is actually a very good one, and I'm sorry that I missed that because most of the projects, especially hard projects, but solving actually important problems, like ecological problems or like industrial problems or educational problems, you can receive lots and lots of grants and foundations from the governmental or from some private foundation institutions. So this is another source of financing, and this is a very good example how you can fundraise. But the basic idea of fundraising, so on what you need money and what are the steps, what your project looks like, and what you will achieve with this amount of money, still remains with this kind of step. But the source of fundraising is actually a good one. So always keep in mind that there are lots of governmental support and other um, fundraising funds, institutions supporting problem you might actually solve. Any other comments? So thank you for that one.
No, I think probably thankful for the current scene we're sitting in. It will be some more startups and more ideas after everything ends, because now people trying to find a solution how to solve those kind of problems in the future. And I think this quarantine will open some new ideas, like after everything ends. And we will see some new startups and some progressing ideas in the end, in 2 months probably. I think so.
This is actually also a good point because, like, why now? Like, for instance, the idea of remote working haven't been that that big for the market. Big pain at least. It wasn't in a crucial need for that. But nowadays, yes, there is a and the economy and the technology and actually the whole humanity will require new entrepreneurial thinking on solving actually important problems. So this is a good time for that, and yeah, I kind of agree with that a lot. So we need more good ideas on solving a really important problems. Okay, any other comments? Yeah, so we're actually kind of on time, so we have 5 minutes left. So your next assignment will be as a assignment number 6 for your group. I know that some of you, um, uh, most of you are catching up very good. So this is my pleasure to see your work progress, and I also saw your individual assignments and what you wrote about how you want or not would like to be a startup, and what are the qualities of good startup founders. And actually, I like your the thinking process is really important here, and brutal honesty with yourself, because maybe in a year or 2 years, or maybe in 10 years, you will think of starting your own company, and you will be able to get back to what you wrote about starting your own company, about what about those whys. Why do you need to start one? Why would you like? Why is it important? And this kind of thinking process can change over your life. But to see the traction, to see that now it's the right moment for me to do that. This is actually important. And that's why I think it's important to think of that in the very beginning, because life can change, and situation, as you just mentioned, can change. And so keep thinking of different possibilities, and try to apply as much as you can during your lifetime, during your now you're studying. So try to apply all this kind of knowledge towards your educational experience, because any other assignments, and especially when it comes down to a mini thesis or your thesis project, you will be doing some sort of project, but you can do it like uh, do some research and do some experiments, or you can also go to your customers and to understand from the market point of view, and to understand whether you're solving with your thesis, you're solving an actual problem. So probably that's how your company will start it, but at least you will be solving an actual problem where there is a need from the real clients. So getting back to the assignment you did, so try to do um, actual conversations with actual people, with actual companies, and even if it's companies, behind each company there is an actual person. So try to talk to an actual person and try to understand what this actual person thinks of the problem, not of your solution, but of the problem, and how he addresses this problem right now. So, and if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me anytime in WhatsApp or in Facebook, or now in Skype, because now I see some of you in Skype, so any of them works fine with me. Likely we will have next time also here in Zoom, and next time um, there will be our special guest, another one. It's his name Mirza, and now he's working with Tribe Tampere Accelerator, and he's a great guy, and he knows a lot of startups, and he's very professional with working with teams. And I think that will be important, not only if you start your own company or work with your own team, but in any team building and team process, because you have to be a team. Someday you will be a team leader if you want to, but you will be anyway be a team player. So I think, and we will be talking about team and marketing next time. So thanks you all, and I wish you a good day. And that was a very early start of the day, but I hope you will have the rest of the day, or at least most of it, free. So have a good time, and judging by current situation, please make sure you do this kind of basic level of safety. So take care of yourself and of your family and friends, and stay cool. And hope to see you next week, and looking forward to your assignments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day too.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.